Fundo branco, à direita, na diagonal, retângulos verdes, amarelos e vermelhos parcialmente sobrepostos um pelos outros. No canto superior esquerdo, logo EMAG. Abaixo, em letras verdes, Entrevista, o direito das pessoas com deficiência. No canto inferior direito, há uma intérprete de Libras. Sala de paredes beges e carpete azul. Ao centro, sentados em cadeiras brancas, o desembargador federal do TRF3, FAUSTO de SANCTIS, e Arlene Kanter, professora de Direito na Syracuse University College of Law, Syracuse, New York, Estados Unidos. O desembargador federal FAUSTO de SANCTIS é um homem adulto de pele branca e cabelos castanhos. Traja paletó azul escuro, camisa verde clara, gravata verde clara, com poá branco e sapatos sociais pretos. A professora Arlene Kanter é uma mulher adulta de pele branca e cabelos grisalhos. Traja óculos de grau, cardigan cinza escuro, vestido azul com linhas brancas quadriculadas e sandálias plataformas pretas com salto bege de forração em trança. Ao fundo, duas estantes brancas com livros e pastas. Centralizado em meio a elas, um armário branco de duas portas. Ele possui a mesma altura das cadeiras.
I'd like to thank Professor Kanter.
À esquerda, surge um retângulo com degradê do cinza escuro para o cinza claro. Nele, em letras brancas, FAUSTO de SANCTIS, desembargador federal do TRF3. Abaixo do retângulo, dois quadrados cinzas com as pontas arredondadas.
She's coming to a talk tomorrow on 20th of February of 2024. It's a pleasure to host Professor here. She comes from Syracuse University College of Law, and tomorrow her talk is about the rights on people with disabilities. So my first question, Professor, is could you give an overview of your talk, about this important talk?
It's my pleasure. First of all, thank you for inviting me.
À esquerda, o retângulo surge novamente. Nele, em letras brancas, Arlene Kanter, professora de Direito, New York, Estados Unidos.
It's such a pleasure to be here in Brazil for my first time. And tomorrow I will discuss the treaty that the UN adopted in 2006 on the rights of people with disabilities. And I'm proud to say that Brazil was one of the early signatories and ratifiers of that treaty. And I will be discussing what that treaty really expects of countries to be doing to include people with disabilities within society, within their schools, their workplaces, and their lives. And Brazil has made a lot of progress in this area, which I'm learning about during my wonderful visit here. But there's always more to do in Brazil and every other country in the world. I've had the honor of working in many different countries, helping them develop their laws and policies to promote inclusion of people with disabilities. And I hope to learn in my visit here as much as I can even offer to people here about what this treaty expects and to comment on Brazil's progress so far and maybe what more needs to be done with some recommendations.
Good. And how important is to debate this topic at this time?
Yeah. The rights of people with disabilities had been something that most countries never concerned themselves with for many, many decades. And since the adoption of this treaty in 2006, countries are realizing that there are many people with disabilities who live in their country. In fact, people with disabilities are the largest minority in the world. In Brazil, you have about 20% of your population or more as people with disabilities. So they're a wonderful resource who could provide jobs and skills and expertise, but they also suffer from a lot of stigma. And I think that one of the most important things that's happening in the world today is that people with disabilities are standing up and saying, count me in, I belong here, and that societies are trying to figure out how to do better in including people with disabilities. It's a very critical time, because if we don't promote the inclusion of people with disabilities, another generation of people with disabilities will be lost. They won't be taken care of, and they won't be able to contribute to society. In September, Brazil will be appearing before Geneva's Committee in Geneva on the rights of people with disabilities. So the government now is having to prepare its report to give to this UN committee. And so I'm particularly excited to be here now as Brazil is preparing to issue a new report about its progress in this area.
Good. So tomorrow you're going to have more information about this wonderful topic, and I'd like to make the following question. Last year you said to me, I'd like to visit Brazil. Why Brazil? And can you tell us about your first impressions of the country? You arrived 2 days ago, a couple of days ago. So tell me your first impressions, please.
Sure, with pleasure. Well, it's because of you that I'm here, and I'm so appreciative, and of the school for welcoming me. I've wanted to visit Brazil for quite some time, primarily because at Syracuse University College of Law, we created an international law program where we are privileged to have many Brazilian lawyers come to us and spend a half a year, or a year and a half, and study with us in the law school. During that time, I've had really the distinct pleasure of getting to know so many of our students from Brazil, and as a group, they have been just very exciting to know. They're curious intellectually and academically, and very warm and fun. So when I learned about Brazil and the opportunities around disability here, I knew that for me, it's a country that I wanted to visit. And since I arrived, whirlwind, 48 hours ago, I've had the experience of the Carnival in São Paulo, which was a life-changing opportunity, but clearly something I will remember all of my life. It was extraordinary. The spirit of the people and the camaraderie and the joy that was experienced there was just exciting to see and experience myself. We visited the museum where I learned about the history of Brazil, and I have to say
Ipiranga Museum.
That you took me as a wonderful guide. We don't know enough about Brazil back in Syracuse, New York. So I'm happy to learn and then to bring back this knowledge that I'm learning as well. So it's been really the best 2 days of my life I can remember recently, I have to say. And I'm excited to spend the next 10 days here as well.
Good. So I thank you for your presence in Brazil. It's an honor to host you, welcome you. And I'd like to thank all the EMAG staff, also the director NINO TOLDO, and of course Syracuse University College of Law. I was there, it was a wonderful time there, and I thank for this.
Well, thank you very much. It's really been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Sorrindo, o desembargador federal FAUSTO de SANCTIS e a professora de Direito Arlene Kanter apertam as mãos. A tela escurece gradativamente. Fundo cinza. Ao centro, em letras vermelhas e azuis, EMAG. Esferas coloridas emolduram a letra G, formando um triângulo.